All right, here is my brainstorming all finished. I wanted to kind of go over an example to show you how to do this page. So first off, you choose the name of a musical artist. This could also be the name of a playlist, like a workout playlist or a road trip playlist. Name of album. If there is no actual name of the album, you could just leave this blank. But I chose The Last Dinner Party. The name of the album is Prelude to Ecstasy. It's their only album. And then genre of music, I would say alt rock slash indie. And then what are three words that come to mind when you listen to this music? I chose the words edgy, and then it was really hard to just narrow it down. So I actually cheated and I chose four words, but poetic slash romantic, and then rousing. The word rousing just kind of refers to a lot of times their music starts very soft and quiet and then it builds up. So it kind of like rouses your attention. It gets you going, right? So I chose that word because I think that's important in terms of like the actual feeling of the song. So this could refer to feelings or whatever comes to mind, style, what the words are saying, right? If you pay attention to the lyrics, if there are lyrics. So think of at least three. You could include more than three if you really want to. And then down here is all about sketching. We're sketching out different elements, possible elements for our albums. We're not necessarily probably going to use all of these, but this is going to get our ideas down and really get us thinking about layout and what typefaces to choose and colors and graphics. So we start here. We're not going to actually start designing the album until after we do this part. So this part first. And it says find four different options for each element of design below. Each option must be different. So each one of these boxes should be different from the other boxes. We're not just duplicating the same thing over and over again. So here's typeface. In another video, I will show you how to trace the typefaces, but I'll just show you really quick. So I can go to dafont.com. That's dafont.com. I'm just going to go back to the home page here. And here's where I can find all different typefaces. Now, my musical artist, I wrote down edgy, right? So I may want to find a typeface that's kind of edgy or kind of rough maybe or something. So I'm going to look under all these different categories. And I know already, because I've done this before, maybe something like distorted or eroded might be kind of a cool category. Some of these are kind of edgy. Maybe this one, for example. So what I could do is click on the typeface you think you're interested in. And then you can just size this down, up and down. And this actually would allow you to trace it on your page. So you can take this page, blank page, put it on your computer, as long as the brightness is up on the monitor, and then just trace over it really easily. The other cool part about this is you can preview your text. So if I wanted to see The Last Dinner Party as in this typeface, I can then click submit. And then here it shows it. So if I'm like, oh, I really like that, I might want that on my album cover, you could trace this as well. So once you trace it, however you want to do that, whether it's the name of the artist or if it's just the name of the typeface, make sure you include the name of the typeface, which in this case is white on black. White on black. The reason for that is because you are going to want to be able to search for it again. So if I type in white on black here and I search, it comes up right here. I could download it. I could use it in my design. So that's typefaces. So I had traced all of these different ones as examples, and then I wrote down their names in case you can't see the names. Sometimes it's kind of hard to read. This is Cherylina, Art Post, Genre Line, and Marshina, I believe is what it is. So I can type those in and find them. Next one is color schemes. With color schemes, we're going to be using the app called coolors.co. And these down here are what we call hex codes. And hex codes are how we denote web colors. So here's coolors.co. And I'm just going to start off by getting out of that. There we go. Click on Start the Generator. You don't have to create an account or anything like that. And if I press the space bar, it's going to just give me a bunch of random colors. Sometimes I like to start this way if I don't know what colors I want to use. Again, referring to the feelings, right? So edgy, poetic, romantic, rousing. These are all the colors that kind of came to mind when I thought of those words, especially this kind of magenta color and this pink color. That seems very romantic, maybe a little bit poetic. And rousing, I always think of like reds, so that would make sense. And then edgy, I kind of liked this mustardy yellow. The blue, I think almost is more like an accent color. It kind of ties into the romance side of things, but you're coming up with your own colors. You could put more than one color in each option if you wish. You just need to make sure you include the hex code. So if I go back to couleurs here, let's say I really like citron, I could lock that and I could keep pressing the space bar. Or let's say I know for sure I want a red color, I could go ahead and click on that hex code, drag the bar over to the reds. Maybe I want a darker red. This is turkey red, and then this is the hex code. So it's A4 and then 4 zeros after that. Lock it in place if you want, press the space bar. You can do this as many times as you want with as many colors as you want. You just want to be choosing colors that make sense for your album. You're not locked in forever. You can always add colors later on, but I need you to have at least 4 different color options. I'll show you how this works. I wanted to show in Photopea here. So let's say I want to change the color here. I choose my color picker. I can type in my hex code right here. So I'll type in A4 and then 4 zeros after that. Let's see what happens. A4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's the exact color red. It's literally the exact same color red right there. And because I wrote down the hex code, it really helps my memory. You will need to put the colored pencil in there too in each box. So each space has the color example and then the hex code. And you just get it as close as you can using whatever colored pencils or markers you have. This is just for your memory and to make sure, you can remember, oh yeah, this is yellow and this is red, because these hex codes, it'll be really hard to tell what color those are unless you put an example. And then the last section is image or graphics. This is not necessarily the only image or graphics you might put on your album, and chances are it'll change. But I wanted to choose graphics that make sense for, again, the words that come to mind. So edgy, poetic, rousing, right? Roses, I thought that makes sense for romance. Here's a band photo that I found. I just kind of quick sketched it out. I wrote down elegant frame, old fashioned. So I kind of imagine like a gold frame, maybe around the border of the album cover. And then because I was thinking of poetry, I thought of Edgar Allan Poe, but I knew I didn't want a portrait of Edgar Allan Poe on the actual album. So I thought of the Raven. That came to mind. And so I just drew a quick sketch of a raven. Obviously, this is doesn't even look exactly like a raven, but that's okay. We're just sketching. So these are just rough sketches. So you may combine these sketches in different ways. For one example, maybe I'm going to have a crow or a raven on the cover, but maybe I'm also going to have some roses. Or maybe I'll put this frame around the border and put something else on the inside. Or maybe I'll put the band photo on there and cut all their heads off and put crow heads on them instead. Now that sounds very morbid, but you can really combine these in different ways. This is just to get you thinking about what is actually going to be on the cover. And you are going to be required to do some illustration, and we'll talk more about that later. I don't want you to panic about that. You will have the opportunity to use some Google images here and some Creative Commons images and things that you may just want to download versus create, but we will also be creating some elements too. Once you finish this part, then you move on to the second page, and you'll get a copy from me if you're in class. And it says, start designing CD album covers, combine options you sketched previously in different ways in the empty space or empty white boxes below. Each box, this is a typo, but each box represents an album cover is what it should say. You must sketch 3 different ideas in the places below. So one idea here, one idea here, one idea here. Each one needs to be different, and each one needs to pull elements of the options you've already chosen. So again, you can change some of them and add to them, but you need to be using whatever options you came up with here. So take this really seriously, take some time with it, don't rush it, and you're going to create much more effective designs just by thinking out, the process and brainstorming.